Episode number 2 of Film Never Lies. Thanks for joining us. With the Blue Jays in the World Series, we got to stick with baseball. So let's get right to our guest. He grew up in East LA, but starred for the Blue Jays. He's a 2-time opening day starter for Toronto, an all-star in 2011, a college national champion, and in my opinion, an honorary Canadian. Let's bring in Ricky Romero. Ricky, I appreciate you joining the show. And before we get into baseball, man, I heard a disturbing rumor. Okay. You're an East LA guy, correct?
Correct.
Cal State Fullerton, which we're going to get into. How on earth are you a San Francisco 49ers fan? Please tell me it's not true. Tell me it's not true.
Oh, man, I didn't want this question to come up. Your team still gives me nightmares till this day. But no, in all honesty, in the 90s when I was growing up, we didn't have a team here in LA. Yeah. So at the time, it was like very either you're a 49er fan or a Dallas Cowboys fan. That's like who ruled TV during that time. And I remember watching my first game, and it was Jerry Rice, Steve Young, and I just fell in love with the team. It was more because Steve Young was left-handed and I was left-handed. So I was like, whoa, cool. Like we have there's not very many lefty quarterbacks. No. And I never played football growing up. I was asked to play, but my dad never let me. But yeah, that's kind of how it started, the whole Niner tradition. It's like, no, my dad isn't really a football fan and my family wasn't really big into football. But at school, it was like, you're either Team Raiders, Team Dallas, or Team San Francisco. And I just honestly, like the 49ers, it just stuck with me. And now I brainwashed my 3 kids into liking the 49ers.
Listen, I hate to admit this, but it is a great franchise to watch. I mean, even now, I know they slipped up yesterday, but even now it's like you lose Fred Warner, you lose Nick Bosa, but they're still humming, still winning games right in the division. So in fairness, as much as it pains me to say this, it is a great franchise to be a fan of, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, and honestly, you mentioned the injuries and stuff like that and everything that's happened with them, and it almost seems like every single year there's something, and then they finally, get to the Super Bowl and they just can't get over that hump. And I feel like my kids have just been like heartbroken like the last 5-6 years over the Niners not being able to win the big one. But it's probably more me. Like that's heartbroken. I shouldn't say them. Like I literally cannot go to sleep. And but yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate what's going on with them with the injuries and stuff like that. And it just seems like every year something goes wrong with them. And hopefully by the time it's all said and done, I can watch 1 or 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, I hear you. Again, I'm not hoping for that, but I'm pulling. I'm pulling for you,
man. I hear you, man. I hear you.
Speaking of not sleeping, one of the questions I had, and you share a similarity with him, it's Trey Savage. Both you guys first-round pick for the Jays, coming out of college. Like, can you fathom the idea of him starting the season in single A and then opening up game 1 of the World Series? And you mentioned vets. I can't even put that in perspective. I guess that would be a rookie quarterback going and starting the Super Bowl, which has happened, obviously. But how much are vets like talking to Trey, if in your opinion, or is it one of those things where I know pitchers, Mad Max is obviously a guy where no one speaks to him. Like, can you fathom or put that in perspective of going from single A ball to starting game 1 of the World Series in the same season?
And don't forget to mention, he also started an elimination game 6, to help the Blue Jays get to game 7. So just everything that has happened at this point, I almost feel like he's just like, I'm just along for this ride. Let me just keep riding this good wave that I'm on. And the good thing about the Toronto Blue Jays is that they have so many veteran guys in that rotation that I'm sure are guiding him. You mentioned Mad Max, Jose Barrios, who's not pitching. He's another veteran guy. Chris Bassett. I mean, the amount of leadership, Kevin Gausman, I mean, how do you not lean on that guy too? I mean, he just seems like he's super down to earth. All those guys do. So I'm sure that he's leaning on those guys. And at the end of the day, it's like a lot of the interviews that the pitching staff has made is that he kind of presents and acts like he's a veteran and has that veteran mindset, which is what you need, man. I mean, you were a rookie once and I was a rookie once. And I feel like if you let the intimidation process kind of creep into your head, then you've lost. Like you're out quick. And I think it's all mindset and it's all proving to yourself and knowing that you belong in that stage and that's where you belong in that moment. And I know for me as a rookie, when that whole mindset of like, oh my God, there's Derek Jeter, oh my God, there's, Alex Rodriguez, Big Papi, those type of guys, when I stopped seeing them as like, that's who I grew up watching. And I said, you know what? I'm trying to get your ass, like,
yes.
here, like I'm trying to strike you out and you're trying to take money away from me and vice versa. Let's go. I think when that mindset changes and you stop looking at it in that way, that these guys are just normal human beings just like you and they're trying to score runs for their team, you're trying to get outs for your team. So I think that plays a big role, and Trey Savage has just shown just the competitiveness, the poise, the confidence, everything about it is just, he's so smooth, and it just seems like everything just slows down for him, which is tough to do when you're a young rookie.
Okay, so now this is one that I find wildly fascinating, and you got to talk to me like I'm an infant here because I have no idea what I'm talking about. But you hear after games like, oh man, I didn't have my splitter working, or I knew right away I didn't have my best stuff. And my first question is, do you know this in the bullpen? Or can you have like a great bullpen warm-up session and then all of a sudden the first inning comes and you're like, man, I just don't feel it? Is there a world where, I look at Yamamoto last game 2, and all of a sudden it's like the first inning kind of got banged around a little bit and then was pretty much flawless. Can you find your quote-unquote stuff in the middle of the game? Like as a pitcher, being on the mound, what is that feeling like? And for you, like, is there a game you can remember where you're like, man, my changeup, I just can't find it today? And can I ask why that is?
100%. I think some of the best games that I threw, if you saw my bullpen prior to that start, you probably would have been like, whoa, Ricky's only going to go like 1 or 2 innings.
So I equate it to golf. They got Ranger Rick. You're on the range thinking it's good. You come out here, you're awful, and vice versa. So it is similar.
It's very similar, yeah. And there's days where you're not missing a spot, and you go out there and you're like, look at the scoreboard and you're down 6-0 in the second inning. And you're like, what happened? But to go back to Yamamoto, and you mentioned it, the Blue Jays had him on the ropes in the first inning, second and third, and you just think it's like, okay, here we go. This is the Blue Jay team we need, or we're used to seeing. And all of a sudden he just bears down and starts hitting his spots. And I'm a firm believer that sometimes we live in a very new school type of baseball era where numbers and analytics and facing a lineup 3 times is like, you shouldn't be doing it and stuff like that. But I found that for me at times, when I was going at my best and throwing complete games, it was like in the 6th, 7th inning, you catch your second win and you're like, okay, now I have a feel for my, like you mentioned, changeup or my curveball. Now I have a feel. And that's what Yamamoto did. Like, it's like he was getting a feel, and then all of a sudden he was throwing 3 pitches for a strike, which makes it impossible for hitters because now he keeps them guessing. Now it's 3-1, he's throwing a split finger for a strike. 3-2, he's throwing a curveball for a strike. And it just, you can just tell by the swings that the Toronto Blue Jays had in game 2 that they were just like, okay, what is he throwing? And that's part of being a great Major League Baseball pitcher. It's when you keep these hitters guessing, it makes it very tough for them to hit.
And like, so you're saying that for you personally, and I'm sure many will echo this, that sometimes you'll find that third pitch in the middle of the game. Like as far as, so, and the analytics stuff, as a guy who's played, again, I'm just a fan watching. But I do wonder, some of these guys are battling and they pull them out. Is there any sort of communication in the dugouts before you go out? Hey, you're going out for the 6th inning being like, listen, unless things go off the rails here, like you got to let me ride? Or does the manager and the pitcher keep pretty separate on what's going to happen?
Yeah, I think for the most part, they keep it separate. I think that when the manager makes that decision to pull you out, I think you really have no say unless you're Max Scherzer and you're getting in somebody's face over it.
Yes. Okay, I want to go back here real quick and talk about, I believe it was '04, correct me if I'm wrong, national championship game. You're in Omaha, Nebraska, and I believe you guys opened with Texas. So can you give me, even at that age, your mind? You got the win. You guys won a national championship at Cal State Fullerton. It must be pretty sick. Again, pretty fond memory. But coming in, stepping up to game one there against Texas, like, what is the mentality of you as the starting guy in that situation?
It's funny because I kind of related it a little bit, or I related to the Blue Jays versus the Dodgers. Even though the Blue Jays are the number one seed and have the best record, they're still being treated as David, right? In the David versus Goliath matchup, because the Dodgers, we know the payroll, the superstars, and everything that comes along with that. When we were playing at Cal State Fullerton in '04 and won the national championship against Texas, it was the same thing. Nobody gave us a chance. Nobody gave us a chance. No one. I'll never forget this. Coach George Horton, we had our press conference before game one, and he called me, Kurt Suzuki, who's now the manager for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I believe it was a couple other guys. It was four of us. And he circled us around, huddled us up, and said, hey, we are going to hype Texas up like they're this unbeatable team. We're going to play a psychological game with them. We're going to hype them up like they're the greatest team ever. And when we get in between those lines, we're just going to crack them, and we're going to give them our best shot. And sure enough, I think Texas had this buildup, like, we got this. 2 games, it's over, it's done, no big deal. We already beat them during the season up in Austin, and they destroyed us. And we kind of played that psychological game where, all right, yeah, they're good. I mean, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take everything out of us. We just hyped them up during this press conference. And sure enough, there's highlights I'll never forget. And J.P. Howell is a good friend. He was game one starter, pitched for the Tampa Bay Rays, for the Dodgers, pitched for a few teams. In the dugout, they have him taking a nap before the game. And I'm like, oh man, all right, these guys are way too comfortable. And I'm over here locked in. And, they just thought it was going to come easy to them. It was just going to be another national championship for the University of Texas. And when you least expected it, we came out firing. We get that game one victory. And then now you could tell the pressure was on for game two. And then our starter at the time, Jason Windsor, I mean, one of the greatest performances ever throughout the whole season. He went out, dealt. We beat him in 2 games, and the rest is history, man. I still have a few friends from that team, from the University of Texas team, that still bring it up to this day and tell me how much that still hurts. Even though they won it the following year, they say that one still hurts because they thought that they were the better team, which they probably were on paper.
Yeah, pretty epic. Again, not many guys get to go to Omaha, Nebraska, and win a College World Series. So I was going to ask now, Ricky, you are an East LA guy, if there's any Dodgers allegiance, but based on your shirt, I think that question's been answered. You're pulling for the Jays.
Yeah, but man. And you know what? Yes. It's funny you bring that up because people have been asking me, I mean, all the media, fans, and I even put out stuff on Twitter today, or X as they call it. Yes, I grew up in East LA. I grew up going to the Chavez Ravine with my dad, and it brings back nothing but great memories, sitting in $6 bleacher seats, having a hot dog and all that. And I'm beyond thankful for those times. But, I say this, Dodger Stadium is where the dream began for me of one day maybe being a big leaguer. What I was able to accomplish in Toronto, and again, not that I pitched in the playoffs or anything like that, but I got 2 opening day starts, represented them in the All-Star game in 2011, pitched in 2 Canada Day games, and my wife is from there, so my kids are half Canadian. I have nothing but great things to say. That city, the country took me in, and it's almost like they adopted me. And to this day, I'm when these 2 teams made it to the World Series, I was like, there's no hesitation with me on who I'm rooting for. It's just, like I said, this place made me dream. Over there, it's where those dreams became a reality, and it was through hard work and dedication and all that. And tonight, for Game 3. I'll be there with my family in Blue Jay gear in hostile environments. So a
I
lot of
love
people
that.
are a lot of people are shooting at me on social media through the platforms and like, oh man, how can you do this to East LA and this and that? And I'm like, if you guys understood, it just goes beyond that. Like I said, I'm always proud of my roots, proud of, where I come from, where I grew up. But in this one, I'm rolling with my Toronto Blue Jays.
And I wanted to ask, because one of the things that's been pretty special here up in Canada, and for a guy, again, playing football, I always like to look at these things, is seeing former players really speak out in support of their teams. Because there's a lot of ex-football guys where you won't find caught dead supporting their former clubs. It ends poorly. And there's been a ton of Blue Jay guys that have come out, that have played it in different eras, and just really excited for the Jays right now. Can you speak about the Blue Jays and that organization? Again, from an outsider looking in, it seems like it's a top-class organization. Was that your experience there?
Top class, and they do such a good job of keeping the alumni together. We have events. They haven't held them in a while, but I remember for a while it was like Jays Winter Fest, where they bring the current players, the former players, and you just have a great time interacting with fans. And just everything they do and how they go out of their way to like, hey, like I'm in town and this and that, like, don't worry, like we'll take care of you, whatever it is. And for me, it's more how like my kids, how they see the Toronto Blue Jays and how much they love them. I mean, I'm telling you, Luke, we live in Southern California and they're probably the only two kids wearing a Blue Jays jersey this morning to school.
Yeah, we've got a video rolling right now from your Instagram.
That's what it's about for me, man. Honestly, like that's what it's about. You take away the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, and that whole like everything that it means to the people there. This is what it's about. Having those two clowns next to me and just enjoying these moments, man. It's honestly they bought into it and they've been wearing Blue Jay gear since they were in diapers. Honestly. Even after the Blue Jays, I played for the Giants organization for 2 years and stuff like that. And once I retired, it was like the alumni. I'm coming back to the alumni stuff that been able to do with the Toronto Blue Jays and how they continue to bring all of us together whenever there's a chance. And I think it speaks volumes, and that's why you're seeing a lot of the support from former players in this World Series, and they're pretty much telling you who they're rooting for. And I mean, a lot of the times when guys retire, they go back to cheering for their childhood team. I could easily gone and been like, hey, we're going to be Dodger fans, but nah, man, we spent too much time at the Rogers Center, and we've spent, some of the people in that organization are like family to me. Honestly, that's the way I see it, and I'm proud to be a Toronto Blue Jay fan.
Okay, so I'm going to do a quick pivot. You mentioned your sons. We saw the videos. But you also mentioned your wife being Canadian. She's got a pretty good resume of athletics herself, So this is a question with your wife, Cara Lang, iconic soccer legend here in Canada. How competitive does the household get?
Very.
And who's the better athlete, you or your wife?
It's funny you ask this. I mean, it gets very competitive. It does. If we're playing horse basketball outside, it turns into like we are like we're nitpicking like, hey, this is not where you were standing. I was standing right here. You're an inch close. Like we start like nitpicking at everything. It's pretty funny. So it does get very competitive, but as far as the best athlete, I mean, she's got an HOF in front of her name, and I don't. So that tells you everything.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So last thing I'll ask you here, Ricky, predictions for the series. Again, for those of you listening, we are filming this prior to Game 3. So if you got a prediction, I'm assuming you're going to go Blue Jays. And how many games?
I was asked this question on a TV show yesterday, and I said Jays in 7. The key being Blue Jays steal 1, hopefully 2 here in LA, and get this series back to Toronto.
Yeah,
that's the key, because I feel like the energy, the electricity, and just the emotional part of it at the Rogers Center right now, there's nothing like it. That stadium is rocking and rolling, and it's highly recommended if you want to go watch a playoff game that you go and watch one there because it is beyond special.
I got a buddy of mine got me a ticket for game 2, so I like ripped down there. Pretty easy drive, hour long, and it was like you said, man. The atmosphere is nuts. It's almost like a football game.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a good way.
Yeah,
people going nuts in there.
You've heard Seattle Stadium go off too. So
I'll tell you what. Back to your Niners though. So my first year we played at Candlestick. Fun story. First touchdown ever in the NFL was at Candlestick. And you're going to laugh at this. I don't tell too many people this, but growing up, I also really liked the Niners. One year for Halloween, I think I actually dressed as Steve Young. So no one knows that. But, I mean, it was the same thing. It's the 90s. It was either Cowboys or Niners. So I remember when I scored a Candlestick, I was like, whoa, dude, like it's kind of hollowed ground.
How cool is that?
Yes, it was greasy. Now the locker room sucked. The area was kind of greasy, but like old school football vibes.
Yeah. I think I watched one game there, the first game I took Cara to was at Candlestick, and it was against the Seahawks, but it was like a 9-3 game. It wasn't even high scoring, but they finally like beat Seattle that night, and I was like, oh my goodness, it took forever. Like every year it was like an ass kicking, and so I was there for that, and I was there for the NFC Championship where they lost to the Giants.
Yeah, that was a great game though.
Yeah.
Again, I think at some point they'll do it. They got a nice coaching staff over there, man, with Shanahan and Robert Saleh and even Kubiak, their OC.
Yeah.
Like they got a good coaching staff. If they were to stay healthy, I would have put them like. I still think they're going to win a bunch of games, but the defense is a bit tough. I mean, you lose your 2 best players.
Oh my God. Like
I mean, it's the equivalent of. Losing Nick Bosa and Fred Warner is like, imagine you take out Vladdy Guerrero Jr. right now or you take out Shohei for the Dodgers and Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
It's like,
it changes
it's a big
everything.
Ordeal, dude. Those two.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. Like every week I'm just sitting there and I'm like, another one went down, another one, and another one. But it's pretty common, I feel like, right now in the NFL. I've never seen so many injuries with superstars.
I'll tell you, I think part of it is like you go back to the analytics where there's so much in our league of like, hey, load management and don't do this and don't do that. And like, I know this is a Neanderthal saying, but it's almost like you got to callous the body at some point.
Yeah.
It's sit there and like, if you're doing all this like load management and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, go play this game at like warp speed. And you haven't been, like, we never, and now obviously it worked out, but we never tackled one time in Seattle.
Wow.
In practice, and it was just like, things were very fast, go. And on the line, it's pretty live, but one of those things where like, now all of a sudden you get these situations where, you're on load management and then it's time to go and, dudes kind of get tangled up.
How was it though with having a front row seat to the Legion of Boom, man? I mean,
it was, I'm not joking. It's one of those things, and I'm sure you've experienced it, where you'd go out and it would just be like, what I just witnessed doesn't even make sense. They were so good at football, and it was not just the physicality of it, but they were also like really, all of them were wildly smart. And I remember being in practice a bunch of times and like, Sherm would see our formation and be like, oh, they're doing this, and this, and he'd call it to a T. And I'd be like, it's hard enough. I'm going against Cam Chancellor, everyone knows there's hits, but I'm telling you, Ricky, he was unbelievable at covering people. Like he was a great cover guy, in my opinion. And then it's like, not only was I going to have a hard time getting open to begin with, now he knows what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But
not only that, you have Earl Thomas in the back too.
Yes,
waiting.
Earl too. It was like you said it earlier, and your Cal State story reminded me of it, where in that Super Bowl, it was like all we heard all week, and rightfully so, was Peyton Manning, the one we won. That was statistically the best offense in the history of the NFL, I believe still is. and you could just see like the three of them, Cam, Earl, and Sherm. And I'd throw Bobby Wagner in there too. I'd throw KJ Wright, just like stewing that the idea that people would think that this offensive unit was going to beat them up drove them insane. And it was like, man, and Pete had us like wound up. And when that Super Bowl started and they started with the safety, it was like, dude, it's on now. Probably similar when you guys show up to play Texas. And it just, that was and you mentioned kind of my dad and mom came on the field at the end of the game. So it was a pretty special moment for me too, to kind of be able to share with them. So something I always look back on.
Yeah, man. It's that's what it's about, man. That's what it's all about. Honestly, like, I've never seen my oldest, his name's Sebastian, and he's the one that you see on that video. Like, he came home and Cara put him to sleep the next night, and he goes, Mom, I want to play in the World Series. I really want to play in the World Series. And I'm like, all right, man. Like, this is the first time where I've seen him be really into baseball. Played in his first tournament this week and got humbled a little bit, which is good because, you need that at that age a little bit. Yesterday, he went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, and that's never happened to him. And he goes, Dad, this is the first time where I was caught in between whether to swing or not to swing. I'm like, wow, that's crazy, because sometimes I have to pull the reins back on him. Like, dude, you're swinging at everything. And I was like, all right, now this is where the mentality comes in.
And how's coaching been? Have you enjoyed it?
Oh, man, I love it. Love it. And it's just, for me, it's, I'm sure it's everywhere, youth sports. And it's funny because yesterday I saw, for the first time ever, I saw a parent get thrown out of the game in our game.
Really?
For arguing a call with the umpire.
This at what age?
12U. He's 10,
12U.
but he plays up a little bit,
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, how as coaches do we say kids don't throw tantrums on the field, but we have adults throwing tantrums on the field? Over a fall ball game where there's no standings, it's just out here to get better. And you're over here. Yes, the umpire was bad. Yes, he made a bad call. Yes, I agree with you 100%. But for you to sit there and yell at these umpires and throw a tantrum in front of 20 kids, it's ridiculous.
Can I ask you one more thing?
Yeah.
I actually would love to hear your take on this. The umpire strike zone next year, being able to challenge balls and strikes, where do you sit on that?
I mean, for a while, I think I was a little, I was resistant to it.
Yeah.
But when you see some of these horseshit umpires, you're just like, golly.
It's a big ordeal. It's so funny. Like, again, you're watching these playoff games, and it's like, it's a 1-1 pitch, and it's a ball, but he calls it a strike, or vice versa, and it just feels like it changes the whole at bat.
The whole at bat, yeah, it does, and it does, and I get it. It's not easy, man. I mean, that thing is happening in a blink of an eye, right? I mean, those pitches are, but I don't know. I'm really curious to see how it's gonna work. Like, really, really curious, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But I was hesitant about it at first, but now I think I'm warming up to the idea because I've seen that they've tried it in the minor leagues, and I like the boom. Like, there's no thinking. Like, you get 2 of them or 3 of them or whatever it is, so you better be sure that it was a ball.
Oh, yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Again, Ricky, I can't thank you enough, man. It's a lot of fun.
Hey, Luke, thank you so much, man, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right, a couple things from the NFL this week I want to just touch on. One that's very bizarre is the situation with the Baltimore Ravens. So before we get into the IR thing with Lamar, I just got to get this off my chest. The whole ping pong table, we got rid of the ping pong table. We got rid of the whatever else they got rid of. I'll be very honest with you. I get the sentiment. I understand that all. But I just revert back to my time, and I'm telling you, the year we won the Super Bowl, we had massive ping pong tournaments going on. We had cornhole going on. Part of the reason the ping pong table I actually thought was great for the team was that it kept guys in the building longer. So it'd be one of those things where, again, at the time I was a rookie, I was 23, 24 years old, and it's like I'm living in a city I don't know much about. I'd rather spend time at the facility. So I'd go, day would end at 5 o'clock, get a game of ping pong in, it's like 5:30, get in the tubs, go watch some film, talk about football, build that relationship with your teammates. So it's very strange to me when I'm like, man, let's yank the ping pong table. Is that the reason why we're losing? Guys are too locked in on ping pong than football? And if that's the case, like, yes, there is a certain degree of professionalism needed to be able to have ping pong and cornhole in the locker room, but you would assume that an organization like the Baltimore Ravens that have been successful for a long time, that it's been a while but have won world championships, Super Bowls, that have a head coach in Harbaugh who obviously has been there and has had a ton of success at this league. Like, you would assume that the guys in the building would kind of know, hey, we're going overkill at the ping pong. Let's lock it back in. So I just thought that thing was very, very bizarre. But even more strange is the IR situation with Lamar. And I hate to say it, but to me, there's foul play here at some point. And I know that, you know, Harbaugh, I believe, had a quote saying, oh, it was just an honest mistake. Honest mistake? It's arguably the best player on planet Earth. It's Lamar Jackson. You can't sit here and say that you didn't know, even for non-prep stuff. Shout out, look at that chain right there. Okay, for non-prep things, that there'd be a ton of problems when it comes to the world that is, which is gambling, when all of a sudden you list Lamar Jackson, your starting quarterback, multiple-time league MVP, as a full participant on Friday, and then retroactively go back and be like, actually, he was limited and he's not playing. Now, you know, did I think it had a huge effect on the game, the cover, et cetera? The good news is the Ravens covered either way. You know, the spread, I believe, was 7.5 with Lamar, dropped down to maybe 2.5 without him. So they covered the spread. So, again, I don't think there's too many people complaining. But it just reeked of unprofessionalism to me. How do you get this wrong? And I know for a fact that they've been there, done that. Again, this is an organization that is generally kind of at the forefront of how they operate. So I do give them a pass in that sense. But something fishy went on there. There's no way you can have a miscommunication about Lamar Jackson. This isn't a P Squad guy that's been there for 2 weeks. Everybody on planet Earth wants to know what the situation is with this guy. You got to be overcautious and above board. And I'll leave it at that. It's a bit of a mess in there. The whole ping pong thing is a bit strange. But I'll say this about the NFC North. They're right back in it now. They are right back in it. The Bengals losing to the Jets in that fashion, oh, unbelievable. And then on top of that, the Steelers have looked horrible, losing to the Bengals 2 weeks ago. Last night in the second half, I mean, the Steelers' defense is not ideal at the moment. They need to figure it out. So they're 2 games out of the lead. They're 2 games out of league in the division at 2-5. You know, 4-3 right now. Steelers are setting the pace. I'll be the first guy to say it. If they can go on a run here, they'll get back in this thing pretty quickly. So they are a bit of a mess. I don't know what's going on, but the Ravens are still alive due to some help from their friends in the division. One of my favorite stories of this entire season is in Indianapolis Colts for a variety of reasons, but beyond Indiana Jones, beyond Jonathan Taylor, which we'll get into in a sec, it's Carly Gordon. And I want to roll this clip here. It's the absolute best. And just listen in.
I need to learn more about this. I need to be able to say, is this person full of BS? Do they even know what they're talking about? And I think one of the things that being on the headset has really helped me learn is, to the question earlier, it's such a complex organism, a football team and how it operates. And on game day, and you could say, oh, that person ran that route wrong, when you learn to find, oh, someone tagged the wrong wide receiver, and it wasn't really the player's fault. It was the person that called it. So, and it's never, I think that's been a very valuable, because it also helps us be able to know, where do we need to make tweaks? What resources do we need? What do we need to fix? So much of it comes down to just how we operate and how things work. And the headsets are really, I wish more, I would suggest it for anyone else that has to pay coaches and GMs millions and millions of dollars. It helps you make a less expensive mistake potentially.
This is the best thing I've seen in a long time. Hats off to her. I can't get over how much I love this. First and foremost, I'm not even going to go back to college because college is worse than the pros. I remember vividly being at Rice. We bring in a friend of mine, a quarterback, hadn't played a ton, and I'm out there and we're running just hitches, simple play, all hitches, 5-yard hitches. It's 3-by-1 set. And they usually tag, hey, look, Z. Now, for you Canadian football fans out there, Z is to the boundary in the American lingo. But they go and they signal in, look X. We didn't huddle back then. And I remember being like, look X, like we're going to throw a field hitch? Well, sure as shit, buddy of mine comes back, slings it, pick six. I mean, there's a nickel right there, walks in. And they start ripping the guy. They're ripping the QB. And he looks at him, he goes, you guys told me to look at the X. And they're like, oh, man, we meant to say, look, Z. But you should know that. You should know better. Pointing the finger at this guy. He's 20 years old. And again, she's obviously in the pros, so we're going to get there. How can you, the NFL is about accountability. Football is about accountability. And for too long, there have been coaches, look at the swag. The swag is all, we're going to get into the swag in a sec. For too long, there have been coaches that get away with accountability. And one thing I want you to look at when you're seeing this video, see how she has the earpiece in. So what I love about it is she's not talking to the coaches. So if you see the string there coming down from the ear, a lot of her is just listening in. So you have these options on game days, and you'd get them when you were injured. Hey, do you want to listen into the coach's headset? So you can't obviously have the mic where you're speaking. The coaches don't want to hear people, in their ears like that. There's very few people that are speaking on that. But she'll have the one earpiece in, which basically means she's privy to the conversation going on. And there's a lot of things. And again, I can go on forever about this, but she says it in her thing. Hey, if I'm going to pay these guys millions of dollars, I need to make sure that they're accountable, and I need to be on the forefront of what information is going on. The saying in the NFL is shit rolls downhill, which I think is ridiculous. But this is a prime example of being like, okay, well, the front office guys tell me that player X is going to get us over the hump. And then all of a sudden that player comes in and doesn't produce. Is it the player's fault? Sometimes. Is it the coach's fault? Sometimes. But how many times do you hear like, hey, we brought in this wide receiver and he didn't pan out? Well, the OC's on the headset being like, I don't like this. I don't think he can do this. Or, hey, we're not putting him in a position to succeed. And clearly it's working. I don't think there's any malice in it because she said it's about accountability. They're 7-1 right now. If by chance she can hear things like, hey, why does this certain individual keep messing up or everyone's mad at him or what's going on? There's no more brother-in-lawing amongst coaches. She gets to hear it firsthand. She wants the coaches to be accountable, just as she wants the players to be accountable. And look at the Indianapolis Colts. Look at this team right now. They were a laughingstock. At the beginning of the year, they're like, man, you drafted Anthony Richardson. Now you're going to start Daniel Jones over him? Daniel Jones is in the MVP conversation. There's an argument that the Indianapolis Colts are the best team in the NFL right now. There's an argument for that. They're 7-1. They've wiped everybody. And now we're going to talk about MVP. We got to talk about Jonathan Taylor. And another thing, while I'm on this Colts rant, what I'm sick and tired of is, quarterbacks only for MVP. Bullshit. Jonathan Taylor should be right there in the conversation for the MVP right now. He leads the league in rush yards by a lot. He's on pace to go over 2,000, similar to Saquon last year. He's on pace to score an ungodly amount of touchdowns. I believe he has 12 rushing right now and 2 receiving. The O-line and tight ends are blocking well for him, but the after-contact stuff this man does is special. And the burst in the second level is special. Everything about, look at this. Boom, blocked up. They got a DB right there. We skinny him up. We just blow right by him. Are you kidding me right now? And we'll talk about quarterbacks. I will say I do think Mahomes is probably the front runner for MVP. I'm not that blind. But it's like Josh Allen's numbers haven't been as wild as they have been. Lamar's obviously been hurt. Joe Burrow's, not playing. Drake May's in there, so are you going to give it to Drake May eventually? Sure, maybe. But what happens if the Bills end up beating them and winning the division? So you're going to give it to a quarterback that has had a phenomenal year but didn't win his division? Same thing can be said about Mahomes. Now, I do think they'll find a way, but what happens if they don't win the division? Denver's defense looks pretty good. So Jonathan Taylor right now I just can't see a world where he's not in the top 3 on everybody's list at this point of the season as an MVP candidate. I'd throw Baker in that conversation as well. I can't forget my guy Baker Mayfield, but at 8 games through, they're 7-1. He's the best player on arguably the best team. His numbers are through the roof. You got to put him right now in that conversation as a serious contender. Well, switching gears from the NFL, we're going to talk CFL. Playoffs are starting this Saturday. And I'll say this, I think every CFL fan out there knows there's a ton of parity this year. It's been a very strange season with everybody beating each other. We got a crossover, which we'll get into in a sec. But I'm going through predictions right now. Let's see. Now, I'll be honest and say, generally speaking, I'm not the greatest predictor of the whole playoff bracket, but I feel pretty good about this. So we're going to bring the graphic up, and I'm going to talk through some games here. We're going to go start with the East side here. So if you're wondering why Winnipeg's in the East, the CFL has one of the strangest ordeals of all time. It's a 9-team league, and there's a crossover. And because the East was very bad this year, Winnipeg crosses over. That's for you non-CFL fans. And they get the 3rd spot on the East, even though they're in the West Division. And I'm even disgusted that I have to say things like this. But here we go. Winnipeg versus Montreal. I love Winnipeg. It's one of the coolest stadiums I've ever been to. The fans are unbelievable. They're very loud, very passionate. They got a couple numpties on social media that I'd like to light on fire. But other than that, it's an unbelievable situation. But Winnipeg, I am sorry, but I'm rolling with the Montreal Alouettes. And it pains me to say this. Davis Alexander is yet to lose a start that he has obviously started in. The reason they lost games were because he wasn't in my opinion. They are a completely different team without him. And before we go down the Davis Alexander thing, I do think Noel Thor, their defensive coordinator for the Alouettes, is going to create a wrinkle that's going to jam up the Winnipeg Blue Bombers offense. The offense has been stagnant at times. They look, discombobulated. Caleros, to me, is still one of the best players in the league. Absolutely. This guy's a stud. But it just seems like with the new offensive coordinator, things aren't meshing that well. And I'm going to have a hard time believing that this defense can continue to hang against Davis Alexander if the offense doesn't come out firing right away. So, I hate, because I'm a huge Caleros guy, but I hate to say it, Winnipeg. I got to go with Montreal here. I apologize. So put the Montreal helmet on. Montreal is going to the finals, the East finals. Now we're going to go to the other side. The other matchup here is BC versus Calgary. Calgary, beginning of the year, hottest team in the league, but kind of petered off a little bit. Part of that, they've run into some injuries, especially in that defense. On the flip side, Rourke's got the BC Lions humming. Another thing I'll say, Keon Hatcher, unbelievable player. I was fortunate enough to play with him in Detroit. He was a stud for us then. Got to see him in practice. Hardworking guy, extremely talented. D coordinator, the big knock has been BC's defense. They've gotten a lot better. Tip your cap, give the flowers to Benavides there, D coordinator for the Lions. Again, it's a tough call. It could go either way, but I got to go BC. I'm thinking BC goes to the semis, so we're going to update this bracket. Grey Cup semis, West final. So here we go. We'll start with the East final. And, I got to say it. I don't think Davis Alexander loses. The guy wears a wife beater. He comes out here. They're extremely well coached. Their head coach there, Jason Moss, knows what he's doing. And it's not that the Ticats aren't. And Kenny Lawler and Bo Levi Mitchell are 2 stars in this league. But that, to me, is a huge matchup. I just think Montreal finds a way to get it done. And honestly, I hope I'm wrong. I would love to see Kenny Lawler and Bo Levi in the Grey Cup. That duo is pretty special. Spent 2 years with Kenny Lawler in Seattle together. I think the world of the guy. I think he's the most talented receiver in the league, and he's just a passionate dude. He's got a lot of wiggle to him, great hands. So I could see that happening, where if Kenny gets a couple big plays, they manage to win that game. But where I get concerned is Hamilton's defense has also been up and down this year. And again, I just think Davis Alexander's a dog. So we're going to ride there with the Alouettes, going to the Grey Cup. And then on the flip side, here comes a bit of a shocker. But I'm Sask all day. I'm Sask all day. A lot of people have their favorite as BC to win the whole thing. I really think that Saskatchewan's got something special there. I love their head coach, Corey Mace. He's a defensive guy. They need to find a way to stop the RPO, to take that kind of out of the game, and the run game. BC's got a very solid run game. Try and make them one-dimensional. Rourke's still going to, get his, be able to go down and score, but it's much easier to defend when you have one thing to defend, whether that's the pass game and off schedule from Rourke. I just think with the bye, the 1 seed gets the bye there. I think with the coaching staff they've got in Saskatchewan, the fact that Mosaic will be bonkers, I would assume that Saskatchewan's going to absolutely show out for this thing. Trevor Harris is a veteran guy. I think they find a way. They got a real tight game, but I think Saskatchewan finds a way to get it done. Maybe creates a turnover. Maybe it's the big thumper, AJ Ouellette. Who knows? But I'm going to go Saskatchewan versus Montreal in the Grey Cup. And then this is where it gets a little dicey for me. Montreal, to me, is the brain pick. Again, I love the coaching staff there. I think the O-line's very, very solid. Defensively, I love Noel Thorpe. He kind of reminds me of a CFL version of Steve Spagnuolo, and I mean that in the best way. If Noel Thorpe's listening to this, I love Steve Spagnuolo. I think the guy's a genius. Jason Moss, I mentioned. Anthony Calvillo's involved in that offense pretty heavy. So the brain pick is Montreal, but I don't pick with my brain. I pick with my heart. The idea that Saskatchewan would win in Winnipeg, they're going to travel incredibly well to this thing. I'm going with my heart. I'm taking Saskatchewan again. I love Trevor Harris. I think AJ Ouellette also is a big star. That offensive line, Saskatchewan, I have a lot of respect for. They do a ton of stuff in the run game, and I could see, especially if it's a weather game, them mucking this game up, really kind of gritty. They embody Mace, who's their, again, head coach, former player. Their GM is also former O-lineman, kind of getting that gritty, grimy Grey Cup game and find a way to squeeze one out. So I'm going to go with the Saskatchewan Roughriders for the heart. Again, the brain says the Alouettes, but that's my Grey Cup prediction. We'll see how I do starting this Saturday. Okay, I'll be honest with you, this is the most exciting part of the pod this week for me. So last week we did top 5 AFC, NFC. Great list, but we're going to pivot. We can't just do sports only. So this week we're doing top 5, and my head has exploded over this. The top 5 question this week is top 5 Tom Cruise movies. Now, before you're like, okay, this is garbage, I even forgot just how many Tom Cruise movies there are. This guy has been in bangers, man. And you're sitting there and you're like, oh, Rain Man, Jerry Maguire, Few Good Men, And then all of a sudden I put my top 5 together, and I know I'm going to get shredded for this, but it's my top 5, and I'm standing by it. I'm probably going to get shredded, but I will fight. I will fight on this one. This is a hill I will die on. And it was a big conversation, so if you're listening to this, please chime in with whatever you want, but just know I'm going to die on this hill. Number 5, probably my most controversial, is The Last Samurai. Dude, The Last Samurai was a hitter, dude. This guy had an alcohol problem, was fighting for USA, switched sides, okay? The whole samurai aspect of it I found so fascinating. Tom Cruise is electric in this thing. It's pretty emotional. It's an iconic film. So we're putting it at 5. Number 4, Jerry Maguire. One of the most quotable sports movies of all time. Show Me the Money. You got Rod Tidwell in this thing, Cuba Gooding Jr. He's unbelievable. The infamous You Had Me at Hello is in this thing. It's based on a real agent. It's a whole ordeal. It's lightly based on a true story. I thought he was phenomenal, and it gives you kind of an inner, viewpoint of what it's like to be an agent, have that relationship, leave the big firm. It does tickle my heart a little bit because I was not a big firm guy. Then I wasn't. So there is some personal thing in here. Jerry Maguire, an all-time classic, number 4. Number 3, I'm going to get cooked. But it's Edge of Tomorrow. I don't know if you've I understand it's a bit petty, but Live, Die, Repeat, if you're not familiar with this thing, they're fighting, this is going to sound ridiculous, but they're fighting aliens. and I'm not even going to get bogged down in the minutia, but he gets to continue. Every time he dies, he wakes back up, and they've got to fight this alien race. It's coming after planet Earth, blah, blah, blah. He's electric in it. He's funny. It's a good mix of funny and intense action. And I'll say this, Emily Blunt is just unbelievable. And she's just gorgeous in the thing. So I bump it up there because Emily. I know it's a Tom Cruise movie, but I could watch this movie not every day, but probably every month. Now, it's not the most deep movie. I'll say this. If you're looking for something with a little substance to it, this is not the one. But I'm putting it at number 3. Number 2 is the most underrated Tom Cruise movie of all time. It's American Made. It's based on a true story, Barry Seal. It's absolute blow your mind type stuff. Again, and you see the quote there. It's not a felony if you're doing it for the good guys. This whole story and the fact that it's true, the fact you can look this guy up, the way it ends, similar vibe to the movie Blow with Johnny Depp in it. I was glued, and it's a great performance from him. The accent he uses in this thing. Again, I'm not a movie critic, but it's my number. I love the movie, so it's number 2 for me. The number 1, no surprise here, is the new Top Gun. Listen, I kind of thought this was going to be a dud. Like, really, you're remaking Top Gun? This dude was electric. The flight scene in it, all of the new kind of enhanced things they can do with technology. You're glued to your seat. If you haven't seen if you're watching this, I'm assuming you've seen Top Gun Maverick. Tom Cruise is a star in the movie. That's my list. Again, I'm going to get shredded. Here. Oh, okay, here we go. Let's see. Top 96, 85, pretty good. 91. No, okay, that makes me feel better at Edge of Tomorrow. Jerry Maguire's at 84. I figured it'd be higher. Oh, gosh. The Last Samurai got cooked. Oh, no. Uh-oh.
It's producer Rob here.
What's up, Rob?
I just want to let you know, The Last Samurai you've put on here. Can you just one more time explain why it's on this list?
Dude, who doesn't like samurais, man? What?
I just want to list off some movies that you left off in place of The Last Samurai. Not a single movie from the Mission Impossible franchise. Perhaps
that's
the best
fair.
action movie franchise ever. Risky Business, not on the list. Minority Report.
Ooh.
Rain Man, perhaps Tom Cruise's most iconic role. The Color of Money. Collateral.
Collateral's...
A Few Good Men.
Yeah, I kind of feel like a dummy right now.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut is that's the Kubrick one, man.
It is.
I'll be honest, I haven't
film.
seen it. Yeah, because there's a lot of conspiracies around that, and I don't want to be named yet as a Tin Hatter producer, Rob. Yet, keyword yet.
And now,
gotta pick your battles.
I don't want to impart my own opinion too much onto this show, but these two might not count, but they could be his 2 best roles: Magnolia and Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder, he was iconic in that. Let's see, how much do I get shredded for this, Rob?
You might get shredded. But
which ones outside of Last Samurai?
It is your list.
How is the other ones?
I have no complaints with 1 through 4. They wouldn't be my 1 through 4, but I'm totally fine with them.
Okay, give me
The
your
Last
give me
Samurai
your top
is from
3.
out of nowhere.
It's from out of nowhere. It's such a curveball. Give me your top 3, Rob. Put your money where your mouth is.
My top 3.
Yes.
Tropic Thunder.
1 at 1 or 3?
At number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, Jerry Maguire.
Okay, we're aligned there.
Number 3. Oh, I'm gonna get cooked for this too. Minority Report.
Okay. So I feel like if you do this top 5 or top 3, you're just gonna be cooked because there's gonna be one in there that everyone's gonna shred you for. We didn't even mention Born on the 4th of July. Is what it is, and it's not what it's not. And with that, we've completed episode 2 of Film Never Lies. Appreciate you joining us.